I keyed one of my teacher's cars in the 11th grade. This was about 4 years ago and I still think about it often. Around the end of the school year, my best friend got strep throat and pink eye at the same time. It's safe to say that he wasn't able to attend school. All but one of our teachers was very understanding. He got work sent home to him for all of his classes except for one. This teacher said that my friend shouldn't get any special treatment and refused to send assignments to him. My buddy's parents sent so many emails to the teacher, the principal, as well as the school board, but nothing came of it. His mark was in the low 80s before he got sick and he ended up failing with a 45. The night the report cards came out, we rode our bikes to his house. He lived down the street from the school and drove a very flashy Corvette. We wore all black and I took a large saw blade from my garage. I went to town on his car. I popped tires, scratched the shit out of the doors, and cracked the windshield. Even though nothing came of it, I still feel like an absolute piece of shit for doing something like that. I broke my best friend's phone and she doesn't know. The other day I was at a friend's house for a sleepover and my best friend left her phone on the floor by some glasses of water. We were dancing and playing Mario Kart and kneeled down and something cracked. My knee instantly started bleeding and there were 2 lines where I'd knelt. I looked down and the screen of her phone was cracked really badly. I covered my knee and blamed it on eczema so nobody suspected anything. I placed her phone next to the cups and when she found her phone she assumed one of the cups landed on it. I'll buy her a new phone when I am older and tell her then, but for now she'll never know. I spit on my mom when I was 13 and I just remembered. I feel so terrible even though this happened when I was 13. Basically over the past several weeks my world has been crashing down. I started to remember all the horrible things I did and said under my breath that I regret. I remembered one time on vacation we were going back to our hotel. I saw something on my arm and I thought my mom spit on me. Now see, I have no idea what was going on in my head or basically what I was thinking, but I ended up spitting on her. I didn't even take a moment to think. Turns out she wiped her saliva on me. I felt so bad and I guess I didn't know how disrespectful it was for me to do that. Out of nowhere I remembered and I cried. I still cry every day now. Yesterday I told my mom sorry for everything I did to her and she laughed and said, I used to say so many things to my mom, as a way to reassure me, and I forgive you and I'm sorry for not raising you better. Then I remembered at times, I would wish that something would happen to her so that she would understand what I'm going through. But then I'd be like, no, I take it back and I feel so terrible. And I think at one moment I wished my parents' relationship would fail and now it looks like it came true. I feel so bad and the guilt won't leave. My mother is such a kind and caring person. I just cry myself to sleep whenever I remember that I hurt my mom. I was such a brat and I wish I could take it all back. I stole the identity of close female friends of mine. This is the easiest way for me to confess about all of the things. I'm 19 and I'm in uni. It all started a year ago when I discovered an online chat to talk with strangers. I started the first few days without doing anything wrong. But after a while of not having any good conversations I connected myself as a female. Using the name, not the family name, of a friend of mine. It was just fully random as my intent was just to chat with people. But during a chat a guy asked for a pic of me, which was impossible to do as I was not a girl, so instead of taking a random pic of a girl I took a picture from a friend from Instagram. I don't even know why I did this nowadays, it was just stupid of me. But then I started to take pleasure in doing it using a couple of my friends' pics to just do like it was actually me. Everything continued for a few months until the guy the first was talking to figured out that I wasn't actually the girl I was trying to be. So he found my friends and talked about it to my friends without me knowing it and it led her to me. Now I lost a couple of my close friends, they didn't press charges against me but now I feel like the biggest shit on heart. I don't even know why I did this and I don't want to see a psychologist because I don't want to alarm my parents about my mental state. I purposefully discriminate at my job as a hiring manager. I discriminate in my job as a hiring manager. I work for a Fortune 500 company, I won't disclose to protect my identity. I don't discriminate on race, gender, sexual orientation or any of that, I discriminate based on political ideology. A fun tip, in most states you can easily look up what party a person is registered to, and I happen to dislike a particular political party, not going to name which one for obvious reasons. Anytime we get an applicant who is registered to that party, I make sure they don't get hired. You'd also been surprised about all the stuff people post on social media, thinking that I can't see it. I do feel a little guilty. There was one great applicant that was overqualified but didn't get the job because of his leanings. However, I feel pretty comfortable refusing to hire people based off of this. In my eyes, your party tells you a lot about your values, and I don't want them in my company. I stained the back of my math teacher's pants to prove he wore the same pair every day. In 7th grade, my math teacher wore gray pants every day, and my friend and I wanted to prove that it was the same pair. His chair was blue, so we devised a plan of putting some blue paint in the chair, and it actually worked. We discovered that he had at least 2 pair of identical gray pants because we'd see the stain a day or two, then it would be gone, then a couple days later it's back. By the end of the next week I guess he has washed them because we never saw the stain again. This was that crap washable watercolor paint. Stole $200, $300 from my mom, also smoked her weed and drank all her liquor. I wasn't the worst kid, but for some reason when I was 14 I felt this sense of entitlement about my mom. I can't put what I was thinking at that age into any other words than fuck you bitch, I am just taking back what I am owed. My mom had a big envelope full of $20s on her dresser for weeks, and every now and then, I would take $20, $40 before going out with my friends. At this age I was also stealing her weed, as well as an old pipe I found digging through her drawer, and a lighter I also stole off her, and getting drunk almost every single night for 2 months before running out of vodka. Oh, and while I am on the topic of stealing my family's liquor, I also stole some whiskey from my grandmother. She has expensive taste, so I know that shit wasn't cheap. I also ended up wasting 99% of the bottle because I would make drinks by the glass full, at least halfway full of whiskey of course, and every single time I would rediscover I hated the taste and smell of whiskey. I feel like I should pay the money back, but I don't want to piss my mom off by telling her all the terribly selfish and stupid things I was doing ages 14 to 16. Maybe I will gift her expensive things she likes randomly so I can ease my conscience. I had zero reason to do this shit either. She's a wonderfully kind woman who has done so much for me. I lied to get a kid in my school in trouble, but it backfired. So a long time ago, I was at school and I had a group of friends that sat with me, and were in a club with me. They all were terrified of this kid, let's call them Jay, because they had previously sexually harassed them, assaulted them. They told me and I was extremely angry, because my friends were all sweethearts and didn't deserve it. So, I hatched a plan in my mind. Fast forward to a few days later, and we're there at the after-school club. We're doing the activities and I purposely sat in front of them. I believe the next thing was a complete accident, but some part of their body grazed my lower back butt and I jumped up. They looked at me and I sat back down, but I waited until I got home, and I told my parents that Jay touched me. They called the school and were making sure I was okay. I was younger than 10, so I can't remember how I handled it. The next day, I got called to the office, and I had told my friends that they touched me. They supported me and I told the office that Jay reached through the back of my seat and grabbed my butt. They took it very seriously, and my other friends also spoke to the office because I asked if they wanted to share their stories. All he got was a slap on the wrist from the school and an apology addressed to his victims and me. I continually feel awful about it, but he did touch my other friends, so there's that.